there was a bonfire going in our backyard, a responsible bonfire. And towards the end of the night, Ian got the drunkest I have ever seen him in my entire life. We have this bonfire going. People are leaving. It was like the end of the night. It's like 2 a.m, whatever. Ian, possibly blackout drunk, starts putting more wood in the fire.
Incredible.
And I go, baby, I think there's enough wood in the fire. People are leaving. And he goes, I got it. And keeps putting wood in the fire, goes inside, and passes out.
And welcome back. Alyssa is still here with me, and I'm going to bring in the other 2 panelists. We're physically in studio today, and it feels strange.
It's great.
It's like seeing celebrities. I mean, it's like seeing.
One of us is a celebrity.
No.
One of us is on buses.
Yeah.
No.
We have a rule at Hysteria that one person has to be on the side of a bus at all times.
Yeah,
and
bus face.
It rotates.
face.
Yeah, you're the current bus face, and we'll see whose face is on a bus next. The voices you're hearing are our panelists. You can catch our first panelist in How I Met Your Father. The second half of season 2 is coming out on Hulu on May 23rd. Tien, Tran.
Hello.
So good to see you.
It's so good to see you too. It's weird to see like the human form of your face.
Screen people, but real people.
But real.
Yeah.
It's lovely.
Well, you all look wonderful on camera and also great in person.
It's like Zoom, but like James Cameron Avatar,
Yes.
3D Zoom.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're talking.
We're all in mocap right now.
We are, and we're talking in papyrus font. So as you're listening to this, please remember that the font is papyrus. Our final panelist hosts the history podcast Noble Blood, diving into a different dramatic story about royalty every week. She also writes books that a lot of people read. Dana Schwartz, welcome to Hysteria.
Thank you for having me in person.
Yeah. Oh my God, so good to see you. Everything going good with you?
Yeah, really. I got back from book tour. I had a book come out in February, and that was very tiring. I told myself, like, oh, you just have to do like one event a day. I'm going to be so productive. I'm going to read so many books, like do so much work. I did absolutely nothing. It was a lot of traveling, and then I came home and like napped for a week.
It's really the times that I've like toured with PSA and Love It or Leave It, it has been the same deal.
Yeah.
I've been like, I don't have to do anything. It's sound checks at 4 p.m. What am I going to do all day? And what I'm going to do all day is like lay on the hotel bed and be like gathering my strength to like go out in public. Alyssa, you had a big week this week too. I want to hear all about what's going down in Alyssa land, because you've got an announcement and a recommendation for something all of our listeners
I do,
should watch.
but mostly I'm trying to just deal with my FOMO. I'm going to need like loads of Xanax when everyone goes in studio. This is terrible. For me.
Oh, no.
For me.
Oh, no.
It's great for you. It's terrible for me. But my week, you guys, our documentary, Pretty Baby Brooke Shields, dropped on Hulu this week. Please watch it. It is disturbing but awesome. Brooke Shields is exactly the person that you hope she is, despite all of the things that like she endured growing up. The thing that's amazing about it is that I think so many of us, when you watch it, you'll be like, oh my God, I remember it. And then you'll be like, I don't remember it that way. It's like, oh, she dated Michael Jackson, but oh, not really. He made it up and tried to exploit her. And yeah, there are so many moments. It's funny because when we were filming, one of the things I said to Brooke Shields, I'm like, do you know what I remember about your Calvin Klein jeans? And she's like, what? I'm like, my ma told me I didn't have a butt for your Calvin Klein jeans. I was like, and I still don't. And so anyway, it's on Hulu. It's streaming. Please check it out. It's 2 one-hour episodes. And I personally want to break Hulu, so please do it.
Wait, so it's been received pretty well.
We are a New York Times critics pick. We have been celebrated. We were at Sundance back in January, which was, it was like, I mean, you know, Erin knows me well enough to know festivals and weird things like that are not really my jam, but it was really wonderful, if nothing else, to see Brooke Shields get the standing ovation that she has so long deserved for everything that she's done. So yeah, check it out. It's interesting to see sort of the young TikTokers take to it and be like, hey, this shit's fucked up. And it's like, yes, this has all been going on for a very long time.
Yeah. I feel like right now we're kind of in a news cycle where it's like, that was fucked up.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that we like all remember living through. And it's like, yeah, it was. It was even fucked up at the time. But yeah, Brooke Shields as a sort of avatar of the ways that American culture exploits and harms the feminine is like a super interesting way to kind of go into thinking about the ways in which the 80s and 90s and 2000s and current day.
Today. Yeah.
There are specific headlines from tabloids that I read when I was a teenager that I still remember, like calling celebrities fat, that in my head I was like, oh, I better not look like that, or else people will make fun of me in print.
Right.
Like to this day, when I was like, whatever, the culture is awful and continues to be awful.
Yeah, the fact that Brooke Shields came through all of that and is still like cool is like, oh my God, that would destroy most people. Like, and she survived. It's pretty impressive. And I'm going to be watching it this afternoon.
Yay, thank you.
I am so excited. I wish I could have come to the premiere.
I
Alyssa
know.
invited me.
Of course.
And I wanted
Obviously.
to.
But
I had a conflict.
Listen, enjoy it in the privacy of your own home, as so many
Oh, I
else
can't
can
wait.
do.
So speaking of me enjoying things in the privacy of my own home, we're going to talk about something that gives me a ton of anxiety and a lot of people a ton of anxiety, hosting parties. It also gives people a lot of energy. I think that's like what it is to be an introvert versus like an extrovert. Dana, are you good at having people over?
So I married a hoster. My husband.
Yes, you sure did.
I
Yeah.
did. My husband loves having people over. His love language is like, I'm going to grill a bunch of food and like have way too much food and make a cheese plate and have a bunch of people over. And I'm like an indoor cat. I like don't like leaving my house. So on one hand, I'm like, oh, I like having people over because I don't have to go anywhere. And I have learned to enjoy hosting, but I get burned out, and I'm definitely not as energized by it as my husband is.
How about you, Tien?
I love hosting.
You do?
Oh, yeah. I used to throw a very big birthday party for myself and had like tons of people over in our backyard and would grill like ribs, chicken wings, kebabs, burgers, just like go crazy. Now in this time, I feel like my partner and I are like starting to have people over again. Like, it's my favorite. I love inviting people over, especially for like maybe non-events, like not a birthday or a holiday, but more like come over and watch this like women's basketball game and we'll have a ton of wings and a ton of vegetables. That's not a great menu, but
Wings and vegetables.
crudité.
Sounds great.
I would eat that. I love
It was great. It was a great spread.
Good. So, Alyssa, how about you? Are you a hoster?
Am I good at hosting? Yes. Do I enjoy it? No. Not remotely. I hate it. If asked, I will do it. But like, I'm too intense. You know what I mean? It's like I make things so much harder for myself than they have to be. It's like, no, you don't need 3 different kinds of flowers. No, you don't need 7 different kinds of cheese and appetizers. It's like you can just do it simply, but I'm not good at that. And so I keep my entertaining to a minimum.
So your gift is your curse.
Yes,
like
that's
Spider-Man.
exactly
Is
right.
it Spider-Man whose gift is
whoever.
Yes.
Most of them actually.
Most of them, I think.
Yeah, they all have cursed gifts.
Ooh, that sounds like a really good like YA book series.
Cursed gifts.
I would note that if I saw it in the
Yeah.
store, I'd be like, that's a book I'm not going to read. It's funny because like I'm not, my husband, I married a hoster as well, like you, Dana. And my husband loves having people over and like he'll go to the store and make it like a half-day excursion where he's like, we need this and this and this. He loves cooking like Korean food for people.
Ooh.
And so there's like a great, in K-Town in LA, there's like so many great Korean grocery stores and you can just basically get like all the banchan and get like the pre-marinated meats and he'll make like sauces and it's really fun. But like it also is like at the end of it, I can just picture the kitchen being a disaster zone at the end. Like everybody's gone and it's just you and your dishes. And that is the part of hosting that like really bums me out.
Can I tell you my little post-hosting secret for cleanup?
What? Throw the dishes away.
No, God, no. So we do like dinner parties a lot because Ian loves to cook. And then I make a playlist of musical theater songs that I like to sing. And it's about 10 songs. And this is true. You play the musical theater playlist, you sing out loud while you're cleaning, and by the time you're done with the playlist, the kitchen is clean. It works every time.
What is track one?
See, that sounds like
One Day More, I think.
Okay.
Because Ian and I can both do the parts. He's not a musical theater person, but he's learned these songs because they're on the playlist.
I feel that would make me feel like punishment. If I was like, one day more.
You're already enjoying yourself, though.
You're right.
She's got a big smile on her face. Everything's going
You
great.
can't not have fun.
Yeah, I mean, Alyssa, I don't know. Do you feel the same way about the post-party cleanup? Does it bum you out?
No, so here's actually the thing. When I'm going to, well, yes, it bums me out when it's at my house. But when I'm going to a party, you know how everyone's always like, can I bring something? Look, everyone's getting all the wine and flowers that they need. I'm like, listen, I'll be on cleanup committee. And so then when everyone starts to go, I'm like, let's go. And to me, that is like the nicest contribution because you're done so much faster. So knowing how much I hate it, that is what I like to offer to people when I go to their house instead.
Oh, that's nice. That's a good way to go about it. What's the last like great party that you hosted, Tien? Like besides the you had the women's basketball.
Yes, women. I mean, I had just had people over to watch March Madness, the final game this past Sunday, and I thought it was a great party. Small numbers, small manageable numbers. 6 people only. You know, I think like anything below 10 feels good right now.
Yeah.
And we had wings. Someone brought a cheese dip that was absolutely delicious that I'd never had before with like preserved lemons and pickled onions on it.
Oh, like a fancy
Yeah, like
Ooh.
a fancy cheese dip.
Okay, like
Yeah.
an Amy Sedaris recipe.
Yes, like
type.
a very fancy cheese dip, and the game was great. And it was nice, and everyone left, and it felt, like it was just like a perfect, and everyone left right after the game. Nobody lingered.
I love a party with an activity.
Yeah.
We're all here to watch the game.
We're watching
There's
the
a secondary thing.
Yeah.
And like the game ends, and no one's hanging out afterwards.
I wonder, was there another really great host at your party? And as she left the room, were you like pointing at your ring finger, like, guess what? Guess what?
Hell yeah. Best party ever.
Angel Reese.
I love her.
Dana, how about you? What's like the last great party that you hosted?
I guess it was for me, but my 30th birthday we did in my backyard.
Okay.
And that was really nice. I do this like history podcast. So my best friend and my husband sort of did a like Marie Antoinette themed, like a big elaborate dessert table with like all my favorite LA desserts.
Oh, wow.
And a big charcuterie
Wait,
table.
that's so sweet.
It was really sweet. And it was like a little chilly. So they like got heat lamps too. They like really went out to make
That's
it a nice
really
party.
great.
But knock wood, it is about to be Passover. And so I'm going to be hosting my first ever Seder tomorrow.
Huge.
I'm picking up a brisket after this. I've never made a brisket before.
Okay.
We'll see.
You're going to be great.
You're
Yeah?
going to do great. I feel like a brisket is one of those things that if you just follow the directions.
Yes.
My mom said you can't ruin a brisket.
You cannot ruin
Yeah.
a brisket.
She meant
Famous,
that, yeah.
Oh man, famous last words.
Speaking of ruining things, Alyssa, you said you're really good at throwing parties.
Yeah.
Like it is your gift and your curse. Have you ever had one just go bust?
No.
And do you remember like what happened?
No,
Never?
no.
Not
She
a
said she's
single
good
one.
at it.
Yeah.
No, they don't
Well, I know,
go
but like
bust.
sometimes, interesting.
But let's be clear, the parties I have thrown in the past 5 years were all for my niece's birthday. So
Okay, sure.
First year was pineapple themed. Every year since it's been Peppa Pig. I'm like on the Peppa Pig theme, so it's fine. But my neighbors and my friends up here they love parties. And so I help co-host, and it's like there are too many type A people for things to like go wrong. Everything's planned way in advance. Even our holiday cookie party was like very laid out, and afterwards we have like an after action. We're like, okay, next year for cookie party, we're gonna pre-bake the cookies. We're gonna pre-bake the cookies, and we're gonna pre-mix the frosting, and that way people can have more champagne and decorate more cookies. So, but no, I don't actually recall one ever going tits up on me.
Okay, well that's good. I like it causes me so much anxiety to plan a party because it just feels like too much pressure. I just like get immediately nervous that like people won't come. We had to plan a first birthday party for my daughter, and that was like we did it in tandem with another family with a daughter around the same age as ours, and it was like I mean, my husband did a ton of work and so did the other family, but I still was like so stressed out. I was so stressed out by it. And like we had it in like a park. It was low key. And I just was like, like the whole day I was like completely on edge. And I feel like maybe I should be medicated for whatever is causing me that stress. But it was so stressful. And like, I'm always like noticing things that are like not perfect. And I'm like, people are having a bad time because this thing isn't perfect. Like, oh, I didn't get enough cheese. Like, or they didn't eat any of this one dessert that I put out. Or like, oh, I screwed up. Like it's like this weird, like, I don't really like doing it.
Because you feel, when you're hosting the party, you feel responsible for everyone having a good time, which is an impossible situation.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah, no, it's a totally, unless you're literally like lacing people's beverages with some sort of like delightful hallucinogen, you can't really like control whether people have a good time or a bad, I mean, you can make them have a bad time, but it's like kind of hard to control. I mean, sometimes they're just variables, you know, and it's kind of hard to control. Have you ever been to a party that you were like, this is very bad?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what happened?
I was actually talking to my wife about this last night when we were talking about parties. And, like, I've been to many an academic dinner. She used to be in academia.
Those are the worst.
No.
parties.
They are, but I'm telling, I've
Horrible.
been to many an academic dinner that is, like, great and fun and everyone is lovely. We went to one dinner with, like, that was hosted by one of her, like, senior faculty members. This woman was maybe the most unpleasant woman I've ever interacted with. And I had like just started doing comedy more seriously. So already when my wife introduced me and like I said what I did, she was kind of like, that's cute. Oh. You know, like a professor telling, like I was just the clown at the party.
Oh no.
And so we're like, That's how it was started. It was like a dinner party with like several couples. We walk over to the table, and I'm sorry, but I think this should be illegal, but you should not be able to assign people seats for a dinner party if you don't know them. I think you should just let people sit where they where they want to sit. So I was sat away from my partner at the other end of the table, which was already bizarre. And she got drunk off of like 2 bottles of wine, and in the middle of the party in the middle of the dinner, started shouting, "What is white privilege?" Banging the table. What is white privilege?
This is the host of the party?
This is the host of the party.
Oh, no.
And everyone was just like, who's going to tell her?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
And then the party, that somehow, I can't remember. I think I was in shock. I don't remember I think it was left unanswered because we were all like, how are you? Whatever this is white privilege. And she, then at the end, as we were saying goodbye, she grabbed my partner's wrist and my wrist, not hand, both of our wrists at the same time, and said, "I wish you well."
Like Gwyneth Paltrow?
Like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah. Like a hex. Like she put a little hex on us.
And that was the last time you hung out with Barry White.
We didn't sleep for we stayed up all night just like talking about how insane that dinner party was.
Oh my God, Alyssa, I feel like you've spent time in DC, a place that you don't necessarily gel with.
No.
Around a culture of people having parties left and right as a sort of way to swing their social dicks around. Can you describe any memorably bad parties in DC?
Oh, God, all of them, you guys. They were all terrible. There's a reason I'll never go back. Do you know what my favorite thing is? When you're hosting, not me, but when you attend a party that someone's clearly hosted and invited you to, and they're like, "I'm sorry, what's your name?" It's like, I have met you, and also, how on earth am I going to relax for the next 2 hours of this jail sentence? To now that you've been like, oh, hi. I also am a big fan of whenever I'm hosting, I actually prefer, when I worked at Lifetime, we would host these women's dinner, these dinners, when shows were coming out.
That's how we met.
Yes.
That's how Alyssa and I met in person for the first time.
Yes. And we would have these, and they were fun. And the people who come up and are like, "I'm sorry. How do I know you? Have we met? Guess what? When we would do those dinners, a lot of times we would make sure to tell people who was coming. You know what I mean? So like everyone can, oh, you know what? That name is familiar. Let me look them up, you know, because I'm sure I've met them before. But no, in general, DC dinner parties were an absolute rotating nightmare for me because I tried to keep myself kind of under the radar the whole time I was in DC because, I mean, the whole point of being a public servant is not being famous. But if you weren't on the Sunday shows, people would be like, I'm sorry, what do you do again? Oh. And when I left DC, and my husband was very resistant to move, but when he saw it, it was like the minute that I left the White House, people would be like, when's the last time you were back? When's the last time you talked to POTUS? And I was like, I can't live here anymore. I want to be anonymous someplace. I don't want anyone to know what I've ever done in my life. And that was it. But most of the DC bad dinner parties were just super pretentious and not about people having a good time, but about like, I don't know, like talking about how important you are to something. And like, that's not my vibe ever. So I'm just like, you guys enjoy yourselves. I'm going to have 2 glasses of wine. And there wasn't even really Uber back then. So I would just walk out to a corner and try to get a cab home. It's the most undignified thing in the world.
Ugh, yeah. DC, not a place with famously friendly cab waiting weather.
No.
It's like balls cold or swamp
Or
hot.
swamp ass.
Yeah, you talking about the bad DC parties, Alyssa, reminded me of, I did go to one memorably bad party. And I'm not just talking about a bad party where I'm like, ooh, there are people doing drugs that are way too advanced for me here and I gotta get out of here. Like, because I've been to a handful of those and they were like, you know, like a harrowing party?
Yes.
Where you're just like, whoa, like this isn't just people doing like bumps in the bathroom.
Yeah.
This is like, no, I'm getting out of here.
I don't even know what that is.
I have never been. I sing musical theater while I do the dishes. I've never been to a harrowing party.
I worked at Gawker Media during the height of its
it's a good
powers,
point.
and so,
Good point.
Yeah, so there was at one guy who I think has since become sober, who would show up to parties. He was like an emeritus employee, but everybody knew him. And he would show up to parties and he was just like the drugs fairy. He was just like, here I am with the drugs. And like, it would just be bags of different drugs. And people would just be like, okay, hand me some drugs. And they would just do whatever. It was like insane, like absolutely bonkers. Like right now in the era of fentanyl, like stupid behavior, even without the possibility of just dropping dead. Anyway, it was a wacky time. But I went to a party that was truly bad, and it was bad in the like DC power broker women's dinner. Who's here? Who are you? Like that kind of a thing. And I'm gonna name drop because I don't like this person.
Do it.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Campbell Brown.
So mean.
Campbell Brown. I hate her.
Wait.
Campbell Brown was a honcho at Facebook for a while and was sort of like trying to amass like Sheryl Sandberg-y lean in type feminism, right?
Okay.
And she and somebody else, she and Sheryl threw a party together for like, and it was scheduled for like, they invited a bunch of like female
It was
New York
for
media
Cheryl's
luminaries.
book. It was for Cheryl's book.
It was for Cheryl's book, and it came out. It was like not lean in.
No, it was the other one.
It was the other one. Were you there?
No, but I remember you telling
you
me
get-
this story.
Oh my God. Okay.
The other, I like that. That's the name of her book.
Yeah, the other one. Lean
Cheryl.
in. Also, lean in again.
Lean in further.
Fall over. Fall right down. But it was, and that actually would have been an appropriate title of the book because it was like, the party was scheduled and we all RSVP'd like in the weeks running up to the 2016 election. So it was like, come to this like luncheon, book luncheon and meet and greet. And it was like all of these people who are still working in media who are like, you know, I think Rebecca Traister was there. Like we just talked about her abortion wins election story earlier in news. So it was like that type of person.
Sure.
I think Tracy Egan Morrissey was there. There was just like, you know, that crew,
Yes.
right? Dana, you know.
I know that crew.
Yeah.
They sound scary.
They're mixed bag.
Okay.
Rebecca is very nice.
Okay.
Anyway, so we went to this luncheon and there were like, you know, hors d'oeuvres and like power suits but the luncheon was like right after the election. right after.
Oh my.
And so everyone there was just like,
Who didn't lean in hard enough?
yeah, right. It was like nobody was happy. It had the feeling of like awake, kind of, but it clearly had been planned with the intention, like, now we've got a woman president and like, we're going to do this. And it was clear that I think that like Sheryl Sandberg and maybe Campbell Brown were both hoping to have some sort of a role in like a future, like, you know, the inner circles of, you know, Clintonia or whatever. And it was just like weird. It was weird. Also, the apartment was Campbell's apartment, and it was one of those things where you went in, all the furniture was white, all the carpets were white, and she had 2 kids, which means she's got like a very probably people whose job it is to keep everything white. And it was like floor to ceiling Tribeca loft.
Ooh,
like,
I would have snooped around.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, she rents those kids.
Yeah. She does rent those kids.
It was like, and look, maybe she is a lovely person, Alyssa. It feels good that you're backing me up. But I just remember the whole thing felt very like power brokery, but then like their original plan had to get sidetracked because it wasn't like a celebration luncheon. It was sad. And then they did like a Q&A and everybody was mad. And we like left like wine drunk in the middle of the day, just like pissed. And
This feels like an episode of The Morning Show. Like,
seriously.
just like so messed up.
It seriously was very weird. And like the group that was there, like you would see people and it was like, how are you doing? Like, how are you? How are you? Are you okay? Are you holding up? Are you okay? And it was just like, just not. I mean, those things are at best, they're tolerable in happy circumstances. But in like sad circumstances, you're like, oh, this is fucking bullshit. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? I hate this. So yeah, that was a bad party. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Dana, have you been to like a bad party?
The thing is, I'm just like a bad sport where if I'm at a bad party, I'll leave. I leave parties very early.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
you are the most Irish goodbye person, I think.
I have no tolerance. I mean, I know I'm an like very introverted person, have like some social anxiety that I'm working on.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I have no tolerance for a bad party. Look, I will stay an hour if I don't want to be there, and I will leave.
You've left good parties.
I've left good parties because also then I'm like, well, this is I've done it. I think people who are anxious will understand. At good parties, you're like, oh, I've nailed it. And you want to leave before you mess up and people don't like you anymore. So I'm like, oh, great. Okay, batting 1,000, I'm out.
Oh my God. Okay. I relate to that
Yeah.
pretty hard, Dana, as somebody who is like man, when I tell people I'm an introvert, they're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're good at talking. It's like, no,
Doesn't
it
matter.
drains my life force.
There is.
And then
I was going to
I
say.
have to go home and like lie flat on my back and just like recharge without anybody bugging me. It's, yeah.
Can I tell you my favorite Irish goodbye story, though?
Yes.
Because it was at our own house. My husband Ian and I had
You
just
left your own house.
No. This is
okay.
the one
I was
time
hoping
it was
that would be.
I stayed at a hotel.
I did. I had to go. We had just gotten engaged, and it was our engagement party, and we were doing it in our backyard. And
I was there.
It was a great party.
It was great.
I mean, it was a good party.
Yeah.
There was a bonfire going in our backyard, a responsible bonfire. And towards the end of the night, Ian got the drunkest I have ever seen him in my entire life. We have this bonfire going. People are leaving. It's like the end of the night. It's like 2 a.m, whatever. Ian, possibly blackout drunk, starts putting more wood in the fire.
Incredible.
And I go, baby, I think there's enough wood in the fire. People are leaving. And he goes, I got it. And keeps putting wood in the fire, goes inside, and passes out.
Oh, wow.
And I put out the fire, and like after everyone leaves, and I walk in, every light in our house is on. Ian is passed out on our bed with both cats just looking at him and looking at me. Like, what are we supposed to do? He just thought, like, well, if I'm leaving, I better provide for the fire.
See, he's always hosting.
Yeah.
Always hosting.
instinct.
He hosted that fire. Oh my God. Okay, so we're running out of time to have this conversation. It's so nice to be back in studio, even though Alyssa's on a square over there. It feels like you're here in spirit. I can feel your spirit. I want to end this conversation by talking about what you show up to a party with. Like, what are your rules around like a host gift?
Ian and I don't really drink. I don't drink kind of at all. And so we have a lot of wine at our house. And so every time we throw a party, we're like, oh, great, we'll go through some of this wine. But people bring wine and we end up with more wine. Every time it's a net gain of like plus 2 bottles of wine. I bake a lot and I will go to a party. If it's like at someone's house or a dinner party, my move is to bring dessert and to bring it on a like cardboard thing, so there's no dishes necessary. I'll be like, I'm on dessert, and I'll bring it and hopefully make it easier for the host.
Alyssa, how about you? What do you bring?
Well, Dana, to piggyback on that, oftentimes I will bring thumbprints made with my own jam and then a jar of jam to go with it.
An amazing host gift.
Or, but if not, just any sort of like go someplace really nice and get, you know, a cup, like a pound or two of cookies. And because then they can enjoy them later too. If they like, that's the thing. If you bring something and it's not like part of the meal or they already have dessert, then like, what do they do with it? So I feel like they can put it in a Tupperware and it'll be fine.
Enjoy it later and think about you and your delicious jam. Tien, how about you?
Damn, I'm the wine person. Sorry. I'm going to go to a nice wine store and just pick up some wine.
It's a classic for a
I
reason.
know, but I see now the error in my ways maybe a little bit.
But people aren't, I just don't
No,
drink
but I get
wine,
it
but
too.
people do drink wine.
Maybe I'll do
And
that.
and
Maybe
Tien,
I gotta get into preserves.
I love when people bring me wine for what it's worth.
Okay. I'll stick with the wine.
Because I don't need cookies.
You can make as many as you want. I could say, like, I appreciate any host gift, and I usually tend to just, like, bring a bottle of wine. If it's, like, a event, I'll bring, like, a card commemorating, like, the event. But here's something that I try not to do. Or here's like a rule, I think. If you're going to bring flowers as a host gift, which is always nice, you need to put the flowers in a vase.
Yep.
Because otherwise that is
More
a
work.
chore. You're creating a
interesting.
host chore. So put the flowers in it, bring it in a vase already. Or like, hey, do you have a vase? Like, and then get it all set up so that they don't have to do anything.
Do you know what I think also a great move that I saw someone else hosting a party do that I loved? They had disposable Tupperware ready to go at the end of the party for people to take home leftovers.
That's great.
I think this is
That's-
like your mileage may vary, depends on your friends, but for us, it was a great move.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's
make them
smart.
make them a plate.
Make them a plate, but like, you know, cheap, you get like bulk disposable Tupperware and everyone's just ready to go.
That is a great tip.